And then I have to manually start the broadcast on X because their stuff is bad. What's going on, everyone? It's me, and guess what? Geordi is here, special guest. What's going on, Geordi?
Yo, I'm subbing in for Moose today. I'm excited. I'm thrilled to review some resumes.
Hell yeah! So looks like the resume review contestants. I don't know, victims. What do we call them? People, whoever they are.
I like people, very neutral.
Yeah, whomstever they are. None of them showed up today, but I'm not gonna let that stop me. I gotta post this thing. None of them showed up today,
Oh,
and I'm not gonna let that stop me. Okay, there we go. And post on X. I gotta click view. The streaming to X thing is not a good user experience. I gotta be honest with you. What was I doing? Oh, I was going to continue setting up the stream by sharing my screen so you can see it live instead of having to wait for other things. So we've got a few resumes. This first one, resume dash redacted, is from Marcello in the old server. Marcello has had his resume reviewed once before, I believe. So this is just more to gauge progress and see how he's doing. What do you think about that, Geordi?
I'm down.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So you want to just jump right into it, or we can bullshit for 5 minutes while we wait for people to show up?
Uh, yeah, it's a good question. I don't really know how to handle this. I mean, you would hope that at least one person would hop on, but
Yeah, you would. But, you know, such is the way of doing a live show.
yeah, I guess. You know what, dude? I say we jump into it. If it was super important to them, they would have been in the stream waiting list.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. So Marcello, software developer in Brazil. I'm an avid programmer with experience developing backend and front-end applications, testing, deploying, and designing software systems. I trust my abilities to create intelligent and helpful solutions through technology. I don't know. This objective statement is pretty okay.
It's very concise.
Yeah, I like that.
I don't really. Usually, you have like a goal, though, right? Like you're trying to say,
Yeah.
I am this, but I'm hoping to become this or something, or this is very general purpose.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
talks. It's like a summary, which I don't think is necessarily even a bad thing, but
This really just says I'm a developer. You see my
yeah,
resume because I want to continue being a developer. Do I want to do anything other than be a developer? I'll stay a developer. How about that?
yeah. It doesn't quite pop off the page, but it's fine.
Yeah, there's no problem
6
with
out of
it.
10.
There's nothing like great about it. Aside from its conciseness. I really appreciate the concisiosity. Let's get into it. So, remote software developer boosted the productivity of the development team by documenting projects and APIs. I wouldn't start with that. I don't mind this. I put it further down. Implemented a large-scale payment RESTful API to support more than 80,000 customers and payment methods from different countries. Utilized JavaScript and Node.js and the Express framework. Implemented secure user authentication using JOT tokens, integrated with AWS Conjunto for token verification. Implemented middlewares for role-based access control. Handled a graceful shutdown of the applications. Wrote tests using Jest. I think this is nice. You got the
Yeah, I
indent.
like that. I would lead with that for sure.
Yeah, that definitely should be the first thing, especially as a software engineer trying to stay a software engineer, which is what I assume this is. Engineered an email sending RESTful API with JavaScript and Node.js in Express to be used by our marketing team. Fair enough. I reduced the maintenance cost of part of our code base through refactoring. Refactored C# and Java classes using design patterns. Removed bugs from a CSV parsing service with JavaScript and Node.js. Refactored part of the application to use stream reading and pipelines and added unit tests. The reduced maintenance cost, I don't mind that, but it's like by how much? If there's some quantifiable way you could say, reduce maintenance costs from 10 developer hours to 1 developer hour, something like that. Oh, good. Kai is in the waiting room. Kai, we'll get to you next. Otherwise, like refactored C# and Java classes using design patterns. I don't like this because it's very vague. Like, how else are you going to refactor it other than using design patterns? You could either remove this line entirely because you already kind of mentioned that you refactored it. That said, putting in that you use C# and Java is helpful. You either remove this line or say which design pattern, say using object-oriented design and DRI principles or something like that. What are you thinking?
Um, honestly, the thing that's bugging me the most of this is an English prose thing.
Yeah, certainly.
Uh, like everything else here, all of the bullet points are kind of like this distant, like person, very matter of fact perspective. And then for whatever reason, this bullet point has I in it. I reduce the maintenance cost.
Oh,
And
that's a good catch.
I don't know why that bothers me so much, but it seems unnecessary.
Yeah,
Just stay with the flow that you set for the rest of the resume.
that's a very good catch.
But I think, if you can quantify anything that helps. This doesn't strike I mean, to me, this doesn't strike me as like, if I saw this, I'd be like, yeah, fuck this guy, I'm not hiring him. But
Yeah.
any additional data that you can add, especially if you've got white space on the page to put it there, YOLO.
Yeah. Utilize parallelism techniques to optimize the processing time of a queue service in .NET by 80%. That is a very good bullet point. Engineered an integration service with a Zendesk support platform. Developed the application using JavaScript and Node.js with the Express framework. Okay. Developed and maintained several microservices in JavaScript, Python, and C# that were used to bridge a Salesforce environment with existing client databases and APIs to facilitate real-time data synchronization and communication across different platforms. Yeah, these bullet points look perfectly good to me. Any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think there's just enough detail there to make me want to ask more questions. None of this strikes me as like, you don't know what you're doing. Um, I would feel, I, the thing is, I'm so old school. I don't know what these automated, you know, hiring systems are looking for in terms of keywords or something. But just me as a human, if I was reviewing this resume, I would uh, I would want to talk to this person.
Well, I think this is good with the automated systems because you have all the keywords: Jot, AWS,
Yeah, yeah,
Cognito, JavaScript, Node, Express, Zendesk. So that's the sort of stuff that'll get you past the automated systems, and it's like worked in here in a pretty
right.
normal way. Like I don't have much of a problem with that at
The
all.
one, actually, you know what? If I can be nitpicky for a second, the one thing here that bothers me, I
JavaScript
think,
in
is
Node.js.
no.
Dang, I thought that
Well,
would be it.
whatever. That's the thing is parallelism techniques to optimize the processing time of a
Yes.
queue service. It's like, aren't background jobs usually going to be parallel anyways? Like, something is, I would love to have one more sentence there about what went on. Also, .NET, isn't that usually dot N capital E capital T?
Is it?
That's pedantic as hell. Yeah, Microsoft stylizes that all capitalized.
I've never even paid attention to that. Just gonna say. Well, it's not. Oh, there it is. Yeah, you're right. Capital NET. So you
Yeah,
got to capitalize .NET. That makes sense.
all of this is super pedantic though. I think everything here is fine.
Yeah.
I would definitely, if I was interviewing this person though, I would ask the question, what did you do to the queue service?
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, not really a whole lot of notes on this first section. Let's move on to junior software developer from January 2021 to April 2022. Added payment solution to our .NET backend application. Developed the functionality to generate and download invoices using integration with Brazilian banking institutions. Integrated the Pix payment method into the application to allow instant payments. So that's the I.
Yeah, we did it again.
Yep. Otherwise, it would be nice to say if you could give like a number of like how many people use this thing, but that's about it. Bounce back says Poggies, Brazil mentioned. Brazil, baby. Anyway, worked in a chatbot for WhatsApp in Python using the Twilio API. Whoa. Huh? Nate Codes, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Just talked to Nate Codes earlier today. Good guy, as far as I can tell. I don't know. one conversation with the guy, watched his YouTube videos.
It's always nice to have another Nate kicking around.
It is nice to have another Nate kicking around. Now, I'm not going to say there's some secret cabal of Nates that meets in a special Discord that's only for Nates, but whoa, Kai ___ Ma followed. Thanks for the follow, Kai. I assume you're the same Kai that's waiting to have your resume reviewed next. But anyway, I'm not going to say there's some secret cabal of Nates that's meeting, and I'm not going to say we have a Discord chat. I'm not saying if your name is Nate, send me a message in Discord and I'll add you to that cabal. That doesn't exist. Don't believe the rumors. There's no Nates trying to plot to take over the world and make it the Nate world or anything. Don't worry about that. Anyway, if your name's Nate, hit me up. Where were we? Twilio API. Just a side note, since I know the stream is going to go faster than I usually do, the Twilio API is one of the most pleasant APIs I've ever had the happy experience of working with.
It's also one of the only acceptable uses of XML.
Yes. It is so nice. This is when I was a junior programmer, using the Twilio docs was one of the first times I ever wrote an entire program and tested it once, and it worked exactly as expected because their documentation for every language is just so nice. Like, you can click on anything and you know that it's going to be just an absolute delight. Their getting started guide is so nice. They have perfect examples, good descriptions. I mean, it's a delight to work with. And this stuff is like complicated stuff. And this was years ago that they'd already started having like a good thing.
Yeah, being able to send a text message with a single get or a single post request is pretty dank.
Yeah, and it's even better than that because it's like a single post request that they give you. They just say, here's the post request. And in fact, you are logged in right now and you have an API key. Let me drop the API key into our example. And it's like no one does that. Love Twilio.
Yeah, this whatever doc system this is, I've seen this used in other places now, where it's like, what's that standard that is used for like API documentation?
Oh, you're talking about
Yeah, sorry, I did it to you. No, it's Groove. Yeah,
it's called the Swagger.
Swagger.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's I think all of this is a Swagger doc. It's just like a really, really nice Swagger
That's
doc.
amazing. Nate _code
Yeah,
says OAS 3.1 open API spec. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Swagger's great.
Yeah, but their Twilio's API docs are really good. To shout out a competitor though, SignalWire is really challenging the bear.
Interesting.
And Twilio has a lot of downtime. If you look at their statuses now, like they make it really easy on developers, but you know, like they're oops.
Like that. Oopsie doopsie.
Yeah, so their DX is really good. Their user experience as somebody receiving messages is maybe not so good.
Did not realize that. Super Sim is down. Oh no.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, I think Twilio, they're making fat stacks. Let's not get it twisted. They're like the de facto people for this. But like, if they really wanted to make fat stacks, they should just like start a consulting company where they write docs for everyone.
Dude, have you ever seen they have a conference every year?
I did not.
And TwilioCon or whatever. I don't know. But every time I've attended, they've given me a ticket.
There's too much documentation. I found their conferencing voice documentation. And look at how nice this is. Look at this. This is beautiful. Anyway. Sorry.
Oh, it's called Signal. Twilio Signal.
Twilio Signal.
Yeah. Signal.twilio.com. But anyway, they always get some like A-list celebrity to come in and do some like skit with them. Like they pay way too much money.
Like Don Cheadle will take a phone call.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, but it's and everything is over the top, and they've got like a custom CLI app that you download just for the conference and everything. It's all just to to drive sales because all you need to do is get one manager excited about this shit, and you can start throwing tens of thousands of dollars at Twilio.
Yeah, that's interesting.
They're a good company though, I guess, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I tried to.
I
I
I'm
applied to them.
I'm a
They
jaded.
didn't accept me. Anyway.
This is what I get for all my years in telecom. I'm jaded. They're good for developers, but
Fair
anyway,
enough.
I'll shut up.
All right. Develop the functionality to create custom message templates that users could customize through a front-end application. There's that I again. Just got to say furthered. Further the
Oh yeah,
development of a web scraping service in Python to retrieve PDFs from the redacted and extract data from it. Use a scheduling algorithm to provide access to the service based on customer priority. That's interesting. So all of these are a little bit light on specific metrics. There's nothing wrong with these points, but it's not as like in depth. It's not as meaty as I'd want it to be. That said, you have all the main points except for that, and you only need one or two actual metrics in there. What are you thinking?
yeah. I mean, when we're talking about the WhatsApp bot written in Python, I would use that as an opportunity to maybe plug some of the other technologies that were used there. There's something talking about message templates. I would assume that there's a templating language maybe being used, so you might be able to say Jinja or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so just anything you can do to pad that white space is probably good,
Yeah,
and just add additional detail about what you're doing. I mean, it's tricky, right? There's a fine line between going over the top and unnecessary detail, but this, yeah, my initial impression is this feels a little light, but at the same time though, like it tracks, right? This is a prior position. This is a junior software developer position. If you scroll up, the one that we're looking at above that is, yeah, that's like a real salaried software guy, right?
yeah,
So I mean, maybe the work at that junior job, maybe he's already reaching for stuff. I
yeah,
don't know.
certainly. So then it breaks on the fold. I don't really like doing this. This is like a little bit of a readability issue where if you have this printed out, you have to go back to the previous page to remember, oh, yeah, he was working at Redacted at that time. If you could
Right.
figure out some way to either remove some less necessary portions of these to get it above the fold, or this is an interesting idea where if you could take it and make the front page have your objective statement, your most recent experience, and then your education and your areas of expertise, have that be on the front page, and then at the bottom of your section of professional experience just say the remainder of my professional experience is detailed on further pages, and then you just have the rest of your professional experience on a second page, and then into a third page and into a fourth page as your career grows. That way, all the really necessary information is on the front, and if somebody wants to dig deeper into your history, they can go to the next few pages. I never thought of that, and I heard the idea from a coworker of mine. And he had a long and storied career, and it's like, wow, that's a really good idea,
Yeah, I think as your resume gets longer, as you have more and more gigs that, have cool stuff that you want to mention, it becomes, once you're at a 3-page resume or something, it's harder to format that perfectly, but for sure, try your best.
Yeah, do what you can to get the important stuff on the first page, really.
Yeah, I do like the idea of moving areas of expertise in education up because it catches the eye. It allows somebody to immediately recognize like, oh, hey, this is a person like that. That seems great to me. Like if I see keywords right there with experience level, and I'm hiring a systems engineer role with Python and Linux and Go, and I see all of that right there, then I'm gonna want to read more.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, we'll get to that later. So, below the fold, I redesigned a migration service to accommodate the input of many files in concurrent migrations. There's that I again. Developed the API with JavaScript and Node using the Express framework. Utilized Node's Stream and Pipeline API. Streamed large files directly to AWS S3 to reduce memory usage on the server. That's fun. Worked with Docker to isolate our services and environments. Worked with AWS services such as Code Commit and Code Deploy for CI/CD. So what I would say is this: worked with Docker and worked with AWS. I would get a little bit more specific than that. Instead of saying worked with Docker, say created Docker images or uh, developed a Docker build pipeline or something like that. Worked with Docker is a little vague, and that could mean a handful of things. I know the way I work with Docker on a day-to-day basis is totally different than the way Geordi works with Docker on a day-to-day basis, even though I would consider both of us Docker experts just in our own kind of specific niches. And it's fun
I'm
watching us
better.
conflict. Okay, he's better, but still.
Yeah, this is for sure one of those places where you know, unless literally all you did was run Docker Compose up or something, working with Docker is not enough detail, and it gives you a chance to really kind of flex. So, anything that you did, whether it was editing a Docker file to include a additional build step or um, whatever, you can definitely add more detail here.
Absolutely.
Working with AWS services such as code commit and code deploy for CI/CD. Um, who the fuck uses code commit and code deploy?
Apparently
Uh,
redacted.
yeah, fuck redacted, dude. I don't want to work for
Yeah, they
them.
can go redacted themselves.
Yeah. I would. If that was my resume, dude, I would try to make that as general purpose about CI/CD as possible. Just obscure the fact that it's fucking code deploy.
So you might be able to
I
upgrade to using Jenkins.
Yeah, maybe my next employer will let me, yeah, use Jenkins or something.
That's funny.
Yeah. But yeah, for sure. Whatever AWS services you're interfacing with, it sounds like you're listing them off for
Mhm.
keywords, which is good, but any additional detail about what you actually did when you were working with them is probably better.
All right. Let's go to Internet Redacted. Mostly worked with Vue.js to develop a single page application with a mobile first focus. No need to say I mostly at all. Just say worked with Vue.js to develop a single page application. It's more strong and assertive and authoritative. Say, I mostly did this. It's like, okay, did you though? But if you just say worked with Vue.js, it's like, okay, worked with Vue.js, good. So you implemented many of the pages on our system, focusing on
Well,
clean. Oh,
hey,
what do you think?
sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is my Vietnam ping. I didn't mean to cut you off here, but the so here's the thing with that sentence too. I would completely rework that or reorder that. It's not worked with Vue.js, right? It's developed a single page application in Vue.js with a mobile first focus.
Yeah,
That's way more authoritative. It's not, there's no question about, well, what did you do in Vue.js? How did you work with it? Like, no, I developed in Vue.js.
yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Implemented many of the pages on our system, focusing on a clean UI and fluid UX. Worked on the development of the backend .NET, helping in simple tasks to learn important fundamentals of backend development. Configured our on-site Linux servers, which were later moved to AWS. No need to say they were later moved to AWS. For all they know, you're still using them. Just say configured on-site Linux servers.
yeah, that's kind of a cell phone, actually. It's like, I built this, I spent all this time building this stuff, and then they were scrapped and
Yeah, you don't talk about your
deployed as.
failures, and if you do, mention them, but don't say that they were failures.
Yeah, I would go deeper into the on-site Linux server stuff and not talk about moving them to AWS. Like,
Absolutely.
what did you do on the Linux servers? Did you set up Nginx, load balancers, whatever? Like low level Linux experience, not even low level, but Linux experience and, being able to articulate like, hey, I was able to set this service up and I worked with systemd and made sure the watchdog restarted the service if it failed. And, I hand wrote this Apache config and turned on caching, blah, 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 blah. All that shit. Super important. Elaborate on everything you did if possible, because this is the stuff that, well, I don't know. I'm an infrastructure guy, but like I want to hear this, right? I don't want to hear configured Linux servers. That means nothing to me.
Well, what's interesting is having a back end dev or a front end dev even who has an understanding of infrastructure means they'll have a much greater understanding of like what has to happen after they're done writing their code. I find that that devs who haven't ever worked with infrastructure end up making poor decisions that don't seem like poor decisions from the code side of things, but you realize they're poor decisions when you try putting that code out somewhere based on
Yeah,
some
and
real constraints and some just kind of preference things.
yeah, anything you can do to show that your experience goes beyond simply, the narrow focus of web shit work is good.
Yeah, absolutely. So then education, computer science, perfectly acceptable. Areas of expertise: Python, Node, Git, Java, JavaScript, Go, Linux, Golang, C Sharp, AWS, Azure. Uh, this is always something I bring up. It's called the Go programming language. And I'm pedantic, and I always say the Go programming language or just Go, depending on the context. Golang is just a shortening of the Go programming language. That said, I wouldn't recommend you get rid of it because all of the automated resume reviewing services, they may not be looking for Go because you say Go all the time on accident. You say, oh, I'm going to go to the store. Whatever. So they don't want to look for Go, and they may not be smart enough to look for the Go programming language, but they will always look for Golang. And that bothers me and it annoys me, and I don't like it.
I agree. This is maybe a Go/Golang moment.
Yeah, it bothers me. I was looking through my old Lobsters comments the other day, and I made the same point like 3 years ago because there was some article written by I think Uber that just said Golang, also known as Go, in the first line, and I'm like, I cannot trust anything you have to say because it's the Go programming language, also known as Golang works, but like
Not that bad,
it's
huh?
Go. It was so bad, and it was right in the first line of their thing, and my comment was like, this has nothing to do with the authors or their. I'm sure their article is fine, but like I didn't like that, and then like the next comment like gave me the reassurance I needed, and they go, no, it tells you every. They said it tells you everything you need to know about these people. It's like, yes. Pretty funny.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, I like this resume. I think
Yeah.
there's a couple weird, like, prose issues that really could be reworked in minutes. But as far as the expertise goes, like, it looks like, there's like one or two points that could be expounded upon, and then, otherwise, it's really good. Like, if I was hiring a, full stack person, um, and I happen to be a Windows shop with a bunch of .NET stuff, I would talk to you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No,
I'm
this
not a
is
Windows shop with .NET stuff though.
yeah. Well, this is a good resume. Definitely goes into the realm of Heaven 1, maybe even Heaven 2. Not quite Heaven 3. You got to clean up the. It's Heaven 1, but it'll be Heaven 2 if you get rid of those I things. Rearrange it a little bit, and you can be all the way up into Heaven 3 with the quality of this resume. And this was from who's this one from? This one's from Marcello, resume-redacted.pdf. Yep. That's good stuff. So now Kai has been patiently waiting. He has this mosaic.pdf. So everybody put your hands together. Welcome Kai to the stream. And Kai is muted and deafened. Love running a live show.
Hey,
What's going on,
what we
Kai?
doing?
You are
We're doing.
just a tad bit quiet. If you could choke up on your microphone just a little bit.
Okay.
That's
Oh,
good.
how about now?
You are good.
Okay. Cool.
So let's get into it. You see, you can watch the screen share in Discord, and then you'll be able to follow
Oh, yeah.
live.
Okay.
So let's see. I assume up here it says Kai, and over here it says Discord Degenerate or something.
Yeah. You mean on the black line?
Yeah, I'm guessing this is your name.
First line is my name. Second line is like my email and my portfolio
Okay.
and my phone number. I don't remember if I put
Whatever,
my phone number
yeah.
there, probably there.
Contact information.
Before we start,
Yeah.
so you can tell there's no dividers, but there's actually is dividers. It's just like when I filter my information out, Apple took my dividers out, so it kind of looks ugly. I just want to clarify on that.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. So you start right up front with the skills. I kind of like that. It's not usual that people do that. Normally, they start with the experience, and I don't have a problem with that. I mean, that's fine. That's an interesting choice. So languages: TypeScript, Rust, JavaScript, SQL, Svelte, HTMX, React, Postgres, Redis, Docker, HTML, CSS, 3JS, GSAP. So I like this. I don't know why, but I feel like TypeScript and JavaScript should be next to each other. That's a super minor thing.
Your
Yes.
technology choices say I like to party, and your languages say I don't.
That's very funny.
I can probably change that.
So the biggest thing is,
I kind of ranked them on like first my experience with it, and second like what I think is more important.
yeah, certainly. So what I would do is
That's why I put JavaScript on. So
I would give some indication of how long you've written in each of these languages. You don't really need to say how long you've worked with each of the technologies. Maybe React, because it's kind of an ecosystem to itself. But I would say, like, if you worked with TypeScript for 2 years or 5 years or whatever, put that on next to TypeScript and do the same with the other languages, just to give an indication of your level of expertise. I think that's going to be important.
Nate, how do you feel about those real fancy resumes that have like the stars with the skills table?
The stars with the skills table are absolutely awful because there's nothing objective about it.
I guess so. I mean, there's nothing objective about saying I've used something for 4 years too, though. I've used Ruby forever. I still suck at it.
It's an objective measure. It's not a good objective measure, but it's something.
Yeah.
The stars thing, the problem with the stars thing is I would say I'm a 4-star Go developer. And I've been writing Go for 7 years, all my career, and I've always been one of the best Go developers on any team I've been at. And if I was a little bit more ignorant of what Go had to offer and what my level of experience was, I would gladly put 5 stars on there. But I know that there's certain areas of Go that I haven't touched, that I'm aware of, that I just haven't touched. And so if I put 4 stars or 5 stars on my best language, then who's to say? Oh, hold on a second. I got some nonsense in the chat. Let me real quick. I don't want to block and report. Where's the timeout button? Is there a timeout? Can I? There we go. Timeout. And who else needs a timeout? And timeout.
And now our chat is gone.
Yeah, but like, okay, let me explain what's going on. My server moderators, except for Geordi, he's a scab, have decided to unionize. I don't know what they want. They knew this was an unpaid position, and I require nothing of them. But they decided to unionize, and they will be tormenting me until I guess acquiesce to their demands. And they're demanding nothing. So I don't know. I don't know how to go about this. It's very silly.
You just say you're pro union. That's all we want, man.
I'm pro. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to let him win. Anyway, sorry about that, Kai. Experience full stacks.
I feel like you can put the star on your skills if you are trying to customize your resume for a specific job position. I feel like I'm still in a very junior level. If I try to put like years of expertise in there, it's gonna look kind of bad because all of them are like 2 or 3 years. They're not super long.
But
especially with Rust.
If you do the stars, you're being punished for self-awareness. If you are ignorant and you have no idea how bad you are, you'll put 5 stars everywhere, and people will think, "Oh wow, this person's really good." And if you are actually truly good and you put 3 stars because you truly believe yourself to be a 3-star developer and you know how good a 5-star developer is, you're punishing yourself for your own ignorance. If you put years and you have 2 years in something, and somebody else has 5 stars and they only have 1 year of real professional experience, as a hiring manager, I would go for the guy with 2 real years over somebody with 5 stars in 1 year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes. It's very subjective. Yeah.
I don't know why this bothers me so much, but just from a formatting perspective, having languages be so short and technologies be so long, like the only reason I asked the start question is like maybe there's a better way to fill that out.
I think that's
make that look cuter.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is going to be just a consequence of being into TypeScript, Rust, JavaScript. Like TypeScript and JavaScript, it's going to depend on what frameworks you know. And there's so many frameworks, HTMX, React, Svelte, 3, GSAP, HTML and CSS, whatever, you take them or leave them. But like, this is very common on front end developers to have a technologies thing that's 1,000 lines long and half of it is TypeScript libraries.
Yeah, I don't like blank spots either, but I only put the languages that I'm confident that I can take a legal problem and do. And there's definitely some other languages I know. I just don't feel comfortable putting them on there.
Yeah, I think that's the right approach. I wouldn't recommend putting on a language that you're not confident that you can at least write a fizzbuzz in without looking anything up.
But on the flip side, I think with technologies, anything that you can have an interesting conversation about or something that you've used to solve a problem, I think you've got, you know, the right to put that on there and say, oh yeah, I used this for a couple months, to solve this problem, so and so, and then I think the nature of a lot of devs and systems people is they'll use one technology and then potentially never touch it again, right? But that still becomes a key, a keyword that unlocks the ability to even talk to a human.
Yeah.
So you're playing, there's a balancing act here.
And I did want to ask you about your experience with GSAP. How did you like the experience of writing GSAP and looking at their documentation and stuff?
Oh, I think the documentation. Well, they have updates, and their forum sometimes is filled with old technologies. But I feel like the docs are pretty good, and since GSAP is very dynamic and things, so their videos are pretty good as well. So I like them. I like their videos as well, and their docs. I think they're pretty good.
Interesting, because I was introduced to GSAP literally yesterday, and I was pulling my hair
Okay.
out because one of their examples didn't work on my machine because I didn't realize I was using it wrong,
Oh,
and I couldn't
yeah. It
figure out how to
it,
get
it
it
very
working. Sorry.
it varies a lot if by the frameworks you. Sometimes the cleanup takes a ton of steps, and if you're using React, I haven't used React with GSAP for about like half a year, but like a year and a half ago, React did the update on how they refresh their user effect and stuff, and it messed up a ton of things in GSAP. And yeah, so it really varies, but I feel like GSAP is just pulling numbers out.
Yeah.
When you use GSAP with 3, it's really just math.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like GSAP.
Interesting. Anyway, let's get into the real meat of this thing. Experience: full stack software engineer, redacted, remote. As the first employee, led the decision-making process for selecting appropriate frameworks and technologies, establishing the core of our technical infrastructure. Boosted product development by 90% through the design and development of a versatile add-ins template, accelerated project timelines, and enhanced scalability across multiple platforms. Designed and developed a responsive official website, enhancing user experience across devices and increasing potential customer engagement by 30%. Led the development of the company's premier application, designed and integrated interactive components, streamlined user experience, and enhanced clarity of complex information. Engaged in daily strategy sessions with developer and sales teams to align product development and with business goals for market readiness. So I have two main takeaways from this. One, you didn't mention a single technology in this entire block. So I have no idea what
Kind of true.
language you used, what thing it was. And two, this is called architecture. And architecture is a way fancier word.
Yes, I haven't mentioned like I don't really know how to describe. Well, apparently I'm building front end apps, but I don't really know how to describe it because we don't not necessarily because we don't have any customers yet, because we're still in the early stage. Because when I just don't know how to describe what we're doing or
Prototyping?
what the app is. The prototype, yeah, something like that, maybe.
Yeah, you
Because
develop
currently
several
our
prototypes and X and X technologies, selecting appropriate frameworks.
yes, I guess.
I mean, selecting appropriate frameworks and technologies and establishing the core and leading the decision-making process, this is absolutely architect. So you could say like acted as architect for and then you could say the stack that you decided on. I think that would really help out this first section.
Yeah, I might not even
Yeah.
add the whole first employee thing,
Yeah, I wouldn't say as first employee. Just say you
because
were
that's
acting as architect.
That makes sense.
also
That makes sense.
this is something that bothers me when I've got my hiring manager hat on, but like when I see stats like this on a resume where it's like boosted product development by 90%, what does that mean? How is that quantified? How is that measured, right? Um, you
Yes.
know,
Measuring that, I am measuring that by the hours I put in. Like before, it will take me this amount to do like a connector because we build a ton of connectors. But after that, it will take me this amount of time to build a connector.
so I think that's a way more compelling thing to say than 90% because I had to eke that out of you, but you could have just said, reduce development time, or implemented, chose technologies or implemented solutions that reduce development time on, uh, you know, solving X and X problem by so much time, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Something like that is clearer and like more immediately respectable than whatever's going on here, because it's like you're not even necessarily talking about product. Maybe it's just the omission. If you said boosted development time or improved development time, maybe that's better, but just something about that doesn't feel clean. I feel like I have to, go asking about that question, and the number, is surely it means something, but like it's just not clear to me what it means.
And then, of course, the same thing applies
Yeah.
for potential customer engagement, 30%.
This
Well,
one I
that
imagine is
is
probably measurable, but yeah, same rule applies to it.
yes. Uh, yes. So what that bullet point means is before we didn't have a website like a promoting site, and then I was asked to build it, so I just designed and built the thing. After that, we get more customers engagement or just customer callbacks, something like that.
Oh, then you should say increase callback percentage by 30%. Because
Yeah, that's
increasing
kind of vague.
potential
Yeah.
customer engagement makes it sound like you made this up because it's potential. But if you had an actual quantifiable result, that's better than this. Even if the actual result was, let's say, only 18% more customers called back, it's still better, even if it's a lower number, because it's a really concrete thing. And I as a hiring manager, I'm not going to think, oh, potential customer engagement. How do you measure that? Who cares? Bye.
And also, it sounds like maybe is it much of a stretch to say you did experiments to see what would increase customer engagement? Were you iterating to improve customer engagement and eventually got it up to 30%?
No, not necessarily, but I could say by the design, I choose the design that would result a such statistics increase because yeah, I put a lot of work in the design. It
That's
looks
like
fairly well.
because the thing here to show is that like you got you got directly involved in customer acquisition and like click through time
Uh,
and stuff. So any I wish I remembered a lot of the fancy buzzwords for this stuff, but like when you're trying to measure customer engagement on a website, you're measuring you know time to the first click on the website, or how long they stay on the website, if they fill out a form, whatever, right? So you're typically you're running kind of A/B tests, right? Where you deploy one site 50% of the time and one site 50% of the time, or one landing page 80% of the time and one 20% of the time, and then you measure engagement across both of those. If you can make it feel more like um, like the goal was to eke out customer engagement, that's really powerful. It sounds here the way it's phrased, it sounds incidental. Like, hey, I built this thing, and then engagement went up, and that's cool. But I think because you did that, you can stretch this a little bit to make it sound even nicer and get away with it.
So you mean like something like basically testing out which way is the best way to use customer callback, something like that?
Yeah, you know, you could say, you know, ran a series of experiments to determine customer engagement, or you know, to increase customer engagement, or I'm struggling to think of the exact pros, but just the thing that stands out to me about this line is it's like I made this thing and engagement went up, and if it feels if there's a way to change that so it's more like I came into this with the goal of increasing engagement, that was my task. That comes across as more impressive to me personally, and that in a way
That makes sense.
that's kind of what you did, right? So I don't think it's too much of a stretch to try to rephrase it around that, and you know, then you can, uh, you know, anything you can do to qualify that number is certainly good.
Great point.
All right, sorry, I didn't mean to dwell on that for so long.
Oh, no worries.
No, that was very helpful. Yeah.
All right. Anything else to talk about in this first section? Yeah, I think if you just give like specifics of the technology you used at this job, that would really help. I know that I'm looking a little ahead, and I see you're mentioning Redux Core, Express Server, Jot, Google OAuth. So the next section is good on that, but this section is completely devoid of any of that stuff. And you'd think you'd want to, since you made the decision making, you architected out. You got to use the word architected. And if you architected it out, you would be very proud and you'd want to show off and say, "Yeah, I architected this thing. It's got Rust on the back end and Go and whatever you use." You probably didn't use Rust or Go, but you know.
Yeah, and
I did use
this
Rust.
is
Oh, hey.
this is
Yeah,
okay.
so it's Rust on the back end, HTMX in the front end. We're gotta be front end. It's server end.
This is another thing. Just reading over this paragraph, like
Mhm.
I can't help but notice you've been at this job for almost a year now, right? You started in April of 2023, so it's like
Yes.
when you read through this, you see no technologies, and a lot of the stuff that's outlined here feels like just process, like engaged in daily strategy sessions with developer and sales teams to align like this sounds agile and like useless meetings. So it's like this person has been at this job for a year, and they've, you know, presumably built things, but they won't tell me what they are,
Oh yeah, that makes
you
sense.
know. So it's like really I would try to come out a lot stronger with like the stuff that you build, even if there's no users, right? You know, like design landing pages with these cool tech, you know, these cool technologies, and you know, spearheaded the selection of appropriate frameworks and technologies for, you know, this technical infrastructure. You know, with this stack, I built this stack, and we use these technologies. um, you know, anything you can do to beef this up and make it more substantive, I think would be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
It does feel like I'm not coding. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't want to sound like a dick, but like as a hiring manager, you're going to look at this and be like, well, what percentage of this time are you spending developing? You know?
Sure. Yeah. Makes sense.
All right. So next we have full stack developer at Redacted Remote from January 2023 to May 2023. That's not very long.
Yes.
What's the story there?
That is not very long. That's not a full-time job, and I'm working as a contractor. And after I got my job here, I basically just left.
Okay, so I would make
Wasn't
sure you
paying
say
full.
like part-time full stack software engineer so that it makes sense that you didn't get fired or something from your full-time job.
Oh yes.
I actually, what you said as contractor, that's exactly what I do in my resume. I'll put in brackets. I'll say as contractor, full time, you know, full stack software engineer as contractor for so and so company. And then there's no, you know, somebody sees I work someplace for 4 months and there's no red flags that go off.
Yeah. Okay, so developed a responsive e-commerce website with a centralized Redux store, allowing seamless integration of new features and easy modification of existing ones as the application evolves. Thoughtfully identified functional and system requirements, researched adequate technologies, and selected architectural and design patterns allowing for maximum scalability and performance. Designed and maintained an Express server with custom routes and middleware, ensuring the security and reliability of the application and protecting sensitive data. Implemented bcrypt password hashing, JOT authentication, and Google OAuth for secure user authentication and access to third-party data. Enhancing user login and data access experience. Leverage GSAP and CSS animations to create seamless and dynamic user experiences. So this kind of follows a pattern where you say what you did, and then you give a kind of description of not really what you do, but like why someone would do that anyway. And you can sneak one or two of these in here, but having them everywhere makes it look like you are trying to beef up something that isn't that significant. And if you only worked here for a couple months, then it seems like that's likely that's what you're trying to do here. So I think I would get rid of a couple of these, allowing seamless integration sort of statements. You know what I mean?
Yes.
How many pages is this resume? It's just one page?
Just one.
Oh, I see. So you're trying to fill the page a little bit, huh?
Not necessarily, because this experience is I copy and paste before I got a job, before my current job, and my resume before my current job doesn't have a ton of things in it. So yeah, so this one, I'm trying to fill the lines, the blanks,
Yeah,
and also I
this
did this specifically because people's giving me suggestions that you gotta write what you did and then like something like the outcome of it.
Yeah. So it's kind of tough in this position, but like you want to have like an outcome that is like more specific than this. Allowing seamless integration of new features. That doesn't. There's no way to prove that you did or didn't allow seamless integration of new features. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's generally what you do anytime you try to write a well-factored application.
I feel like I'm being bamboozled reading this. Like the better way, if you really want to fill this page, take the sentence that you have: developed a responsive e-commerce website with a centralized Redux store, and and preface that with why you had to do that.
Yeah.
If you can tell me the reason you needed to build that with that particular technology, or what was the driving force behind building that, and give me a little detail that way. You don't have to give me buzzwords, because there's more buzzwords in the sentence than there are what you did.
Yeah. It definitely feels like I'm being tricked.
Yeah, I feel so bad. Like we're just shitting all over you right now.
That's what we're here for.
No, that's totally fine. That's why I'm here. Yeah, of course. So you're saying, why would I build a centralized Redux store? You mean like what the issue is, what the problem is?
Yeah. So the reason you go with a centralized Redux store is so you have fast access to constantly changing data, right? So if you could somehow explain why it was important that you use that centralized Redux store instead of instead of keeping everything on whatever node your program is running on, or keeping it in like a centralized traditional SQL database. If you could explain if you could slide in here instead of the allowing seamless integration, if you could say why a Redux store was even necessary in this application at all. That would go a lot longer way in staying the same length to keep your resume full, without sounding like you're trying to trick me into something.
Yep. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Yes.
Yeah. Let's see, and that really kind of applies across all of these. I don't really have anything much more specific than that.
I think the best one is the bcrypt password hashing one.
Yeah.
Where you're talking about, I would try to, you don't have to make these sentences, or you don't have to make these bullet points long. If you want to add more beef here, you can either talk about other things that you've done. I'm sure there were, this was a pretty short gig, but you managed to come up with a lot. But, if you can add another bullet point, you don't necessarily even need to have these I don't know these. Uh, I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I get what
You
you're
know what I
saying.
mean? Like you can pad this in another way, right? And
Yes.
uh, there's a lot of cool stuff here. Like Bcrypt is super cool, and if you mention, we had to, you know, when I came into this company, they were storing user passwords as plain text or whatever. They were unsalted MD5s or something, and we just couldn't do that. So we transitioned to, I transitioned to Bcrypt, and you demonstrate that you understand the benefits of why you would use something like Bcrypt and why it's the right technology choice. That's when I see something like that and I'm like, holy shit, this guy's a winner, because he's like thinking, he's not just like picking a technology off the shelf and doing.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely. So we have investment banking intern, New York, New York. Create Excel-based financial models and validations to analyze companies and future financial performances with an 80% accuracy rate in identifying key financial and market characteristics. Same thing, I guess a different company. Research emerging companies by analyzing limited information to identify their business strategy and target customers, resulting in a success rate of 60% in accurately predicting their performance. I don't know what those numbers mean, but I wouldn't be expected to. I'm not an investment banking guy, and I assume most engineering managers won't either. This makes sense. Shows that you had a life before programming. It's good that it's short because it's not particularly relevant to any programming job. I don't really have much more to say about that. Geordi?
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think it's reasonable, but it's, yeah, for sure. It's good that it's one bullet point, and the fact that you show that you didn't just jump, you kind of transitioned into software, uh, and that you had stuff that was going on before that. That's good. Nothing else to add.
Okay, this is
Cool.
interesting. Web image translator developed a Chrome extension using Canvas for overlaying translated text on images with layouts for multiple languages. Utilized Google Cloud Vision and Translate for text detection and translation. Developed and deployed an Express backend server on Vercel. Achieved a 5 out of 5 rating on the Chrome Store. 1.01k downloads and 4.45k page views from 600 users. Well,
This
that's pretty
is
good.
so much better. This phrasing that you have for this project, where it's all matter of fact, and it's like, I did this, and this is the reason why I did it, and this is, these are the technologies that I used, and there was this immediate, concrete result where I had this high rating and a ton of downloads or something. This is way. I just I wish the whole resume could be like this, because it's great. I
Yeah, this is
appreciate this.
fantastic. And then make sure,
I
I
wouldn't change
assume we
anything.
redacted it. We should have a link to the web image translator
Well,
page.
yes, but I kind of took it down because Google Bills is on my ass. Like they were using this a lot, like a ton of times, and Google's charging me like the first month when it's up, and all the statistics are right here. Got it from her first month, and Google charged me like $100. That's why I
Totally
took it down.
understandable. Well, your options are
Yeah.
you can add ads to it and maybe make some of that money back. Of course, it's difficult to
But
put ads into a Chrome extension. Or
Is
you
this a
can,
proprietary
yeah.
thing? Is it maybe on GitHub?
yeah, if you have a GitHub page, you can make it
This,
public.
yeah, that link is probably on GitHub. It's a
Oh,
GitHub link.
okay, cool.
Yeah, so as long as you link to it, that's good. Let's see what else. Personal project. Built a drag and drop relational database generator using Rackflow. Leverage Redux for efficient data management and intricate structures, enhancing code quality and maintainability. Crafted a captivating homepage animation with AOS and engineers secure advanced database. Again, link to it, and it says personal project. Should probably call it something. Give it any name.
What is AOS?
It's a lightweight animation story.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I used it before I learned GSAT.
That makes sense. Yeah, definitely name the project. Call it anything. Call it, the Condor database generator or something. But yeah.
Sure.
Education, Full Stack Academy, Indiana University, Bloomington. Okay, good stuff. So yeah, some of the wording in the second one, adding a little more detail up in this first one with a little bit more objective metrics, and possibly saying how long you've been working in each of these languages. And I think you are you got a pretty good resume going after those changes. Right now, your final
Sure, yeah.
verdict though is Hell 1 because I feel like I'm being tricked in this part. But yeah, not a whole lot to change, but yeah, it'll be good after that. Geordi, any final thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, well, once you get technology into the main job that you've been working for the last year, and you're able to describe, what it is you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and when you come in and you open your editor, what it is you hope to get done, types of problems you're solving, that's I think this will look a lot better. And when you can get rid of those those fun words at the end of those sentences in the uh, in the second set, I think you'll be a lot better off. I don't know. I do like it. I think honestly, man, if you give it a second shot and you come back to us with it, I mean, we can pretty much tell you immediately if you're on the right track. And if you want, um, it's at
Yeah, for sure.
if you want, I mean, we're also more than happy to, if you see us in voice chat or something, come in and we'll bug you kind of off stream about more interrogation style about what you did, and kind of help you through the process of crafting this as well if you want.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, I'll definitely try to edit it and give it a second go.
All right. Any other final
Yeah.
thoughts?
TypeScript? No, okay. I'm trolling.
All right. Well, Kai, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for being a good sport. We hope to see your resume evolve as time goes on. And, have a nice day.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for appreciate the great advice. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Later, dude.
I'll
Later. Bye.
unceremoniously dragged him into Focus Room 1 to test FocusBot. Getting triple.
Yeah, dude, I feel like an asshole.
No, I mean, that's what we're here for. I mean, would you rather we give bad advice and make everyone feel good and then never get a job?
Yeah.
So up next we have this one is resume _IT _intern, which is Nero. No rush, but I cleaned up my resume. I was wondering if you guys could take a look at it over the weekend, and that was from last week. A little bit late on it, but it's fine. So yeah, I love exploring amazing technologies out there like Nix and Ansible for sys management, as well as Godot and C# for game dev. Currently, I'm in the process of creating dev environments for myself, moving from Arch to NixOS, and planning my home lab out. For the home lab, I'm really interested in IAC for automation of configuration management and deployment, as well as network setup for security with VPNs, VLANs, reverse proxies. Also, DNS should be a rodeo. Very funny, very entertaining, totally useless. Hate to say that about your objective statement, but
I like bits and pieces of this.
Yeah, certainly.
It shows personality. It shows that he's interested and malleable. And if you're looking for like a junior, this is something that maybe might tickle the right person. But I think it's intentionally unprofessional, but it could be cleaned up a little bit.
Certainly.
Where I love exploring. Yeah, so when it comes to talking about Nix and Ansible, I would, you're talking about infrastructure as code for automation and configuration management. I would try to merge that with Nix and Ansible because, Ansible is configuration management. Nix is kind of declarative, configuration management in a way, right? So, if you can lump all that together and say, like, I'm really interested and enthusiastic about infrastructure as code and DevOps, and have played around with these technologies, and I'm also interested in game development, and and I'm self-taught in this game engine and so and so language. That feels a lot more. It's still, you're still having the same effect, but it feels more professional.
Yeah.
So and it still shows that you're excited.
Yeah. So I pulled up a terminal. I'm going to try to rewrite this in a way that Still has some of that the fun bits to it, but is a little bit more professional and easy to read as a manager, right? So you say something like, "I'm a technology enthusiast looking to break into the software engineering career path. I'm self-taught in X, Y, and Z, and have interest in, you know, system administration and game development." And say like, "In my free time, well, I've explored," and then say, what sorts of stuff you've done. I think it'd be a little bit more of a, it'd look a little bit more professional and really not be as like polarizing. I think you'll find managers that like reading this, and you'll find a lot that don't. And trying to break into the industry, you definitely want to not artificially limit your scope. Thoughts on that? Am I rewriting here?
Yeah, yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think, you at the end of the day, you have to trust your gut. If you feel good about this, fuck us, don't listen to us
Of course.
because, this does garner to a certain type of person, right? And, honestly to me even a little bit because it's like this is somebody that's at least excited. I get the vibe that you're maybe a little young, but that's not a bad thing. It's just, this is somebody that's, you know, eager for experience and wants to touch a lot of technologies. And honestly, a lot of hiring managers would love that. So you don't want to cut this down so much that it loses its magic. But you do, I would say organize it more because there's a lot of things that maybe you're separating. I don't know why this is so important to me, but like logically, you're separating infrastructure as code with Nix and Ansible. So you say Nix and Ansible for sys management, and then you, in the same sentence, talk about Godot and C for game development, and then you go back to talking about infrastructure as code for automation and configuration management and deployment. And I would try to organize that a little bit better so that you're very clear. Like I have a focused interest in infrastructure as code and DevOps, and I've played with all these tools, and I have a home lab, and then at the same time, on the side, I'm interested in game development, and I played around with Go and Godot and C Sharp. If you can find a way to kind of condense that down and preserve the magic, you're in good shape. I would lose the line about DNS being a rodeo.
I mean, to be fair,
I don't want to be reminded of how much a rodeo DNS is.
yeah, fair enough. So relevant experience: Linux user, problem solving and research, 2020 Ubuntu to present Arch. This is very fun. I sometimes I wish I had this level of whimsy and childlike wonder in my life, and I don't mean that as an offense. Solving problems I'm not experienced with through Googling, research, and iteration. Learned when to really push down a possible solution path for a problem and when to take a different approach, even if it's the most clean fix possible. Making documentation for later runs with issues, using bash command line work and automation scripts when needed.
You know what, though, dude? I cannot, like, this is honest, right? I can't fault it.
I like it.
I can't, I really can't help but like this.
I would not hire this guy.
I mean, I'd hire him for an intern. Look, what experience does he actually have, right? He's never worked, right? He's a Linux user. He's written in a game jam, and he's done some projects, right? So this is a first job type of thing, and you've got to kind of bullshit your way through. Okay, yeah, he worked for Home Goods, right? So like, what the fuck are you gonna do, Nate? You got to say something.
I
and
understand.
like
However,
this is okay. Hit me with it.
So it pains me to say this, but this is this just means you use Linux. And I would hope that most people use Linux. I want to see some tangible work. If that means you have to stay up till 4 a.m. every night building some sort of product, a command line app, a little toy game, a website, something, I want there to be something on here where you can say, I built the website for pppoopoo.com or something, and say, I use these technologies and built this website, and by the way, here it is.
So you're saying I use Arch BTW is not a relevant
I am saying
resume.
I use Arch BTW is not going to be helpful.
Damn, dude.
I
I
know.
honestly though, I love these bullet points. I have such a fucking love for somebody that says I when I realize I don't know how to solve something, I go Googling. I
There is something
don't
refreshing about
know.
seeing this, where you're just out and saying, "I learned things." That's it.
Yeah.
But I think you need to be able to show that you've taken a task, taken some idea, implemented it, polished it, and put it out there. I think that's very important.
Yeah. Yeah. The can we look at the Godot thing and then maybe loop back around to
Yeah.
this?
Game Jam,
Because I
go
want
Godot.
to. I would go for it.
Experience working with more experienced developers, communicating design ideas from both a presenter and listener standpoint. Learn to better manage my time based on schedule and team progress.
What did you build?
Exactly. Precisely. What did you build?
Where can I see the thing you built?
Yeah, I need a link. I'm clicking. Nothing's going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's theoretically in a game jam. Well, maybe he didn't actually get to the point where it was deliverable, but even still, there's something to say like, I made this game. I made it in Godot using. I think Godot has a couple different languages that you can choose from, right?
Yeah.
There's like some like Lua analog as well as C sharp, and then there's like this visual thing, and touching on anything that you've done in there, as well as the problems that you had to solve inside of Godot, like any kind of, assuming you're writing code, there's probably something that you ran into that you could add to fill this out a little bit more, as well as talk about what you actually built, and honestly, I'm not sure how many hiring managers understand what a game jam is. Probably it's 50-50.
Yeah.
So you might want to explain that concept because that might be like I know what it is. I'm pretty sure you know what it is, Nate, but like, the if somebody looks at this as like potential experience or employment and they're like, "What the fuck? This is a 2-week project as a developer?" Like, you know,
Now, 2 weeks
you
and you're
you sh-
still in the professional world. 2 weeks and you're still deciding what you want to build and if you want to build it.
Yeah, this is so okay. So this is the reason why I wanted to look at both of these, right? Is like we need to look at I don't know. I guess
Mhm.
relevant experience is maybe the right way to say this, but I would just talk about projects at this point, right?
Yep.
If you've not worked anywhere relevant, right? Literally, I might just change that line to say projects, right? Or open source contributions or whatever, right? You know, it's tricky choosing the right language for this. Breaking in as an intern or as a junior is my resume was whack, dude. This is better than the one that I wrote, I think, when I
Yeah.
got
I
into,
mean, for me to
got
get
my foot in the
in,
door.
I did three things to get my first three jobs. One was work at tech support help desk tier one, which they let anyone do. All you had to do was be mildly interested in computers. And then I worked my ass off there to start automating stuff and working with SQL and things. And then when my boss moved over to working on a networking team at the university, he was able to pull me out of that job and work on the networking team. And then I was able to kind of bullshit an internship with my mom's boyfriend's company to get you know, three different things of job experience on my
Yeah,
resume. And
that's a
yeah,
that's actually a really good point. Is if you can get any kind of internship, even if it's kind of nonsense, but you're solving a problem and you can say it's an internship, that kind of helps legitimize the fact that like this, whoever is theoretically hiring you is not the first one to take a risk on you.
yeah,
Um, but I honestly like what you have. It's not awful. I think it just needs to be expanded upon. The language around. I use Arch BTW. There's I like the content. I don't like the fact that I think the problem Nate and I have both is the fact that that's literally like taking the place of a job. Um, but if you can maybe say some of these same things in the context of like a project that you worked on, I love some of the language you're using here because it shows you're excitable and malleable. And if you're willing to come in as an intern or a junior and learn, and you're coachable, like that's you couldn't ask for more.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What's this project thing? This formatting is really fucking with me. Project improving the fresh install process for Linux distros. Improved quality of life for my PC and personal file safety.
Yeah. Here I made a partition on another drive I have with specific common folders such as downloads and some custom like workspace. This way my files that don't matter to the distro or user functionality are not tightly dependent on them. Also, I can simply install a new distro without splitting into multiple partitions for root and home. You wanna tell them, or should I?
I will be honest with you. I opened Jason B's resume, and now this one is lost in a series of tabs. So I need a second.
Classic. You can just watch my stream.
Oh yeah, I could do that, couldn't I? Yeah. All right. So yeah, there's a better way to say this, and yeah, I I don't know. If you want to talk about a bash script that you wrote or something that's a project to do this, this is, if your goal is to become maybe a junior developer or a junior sysadmin or something, this kind of smells like something I would have written on my resume when I was trying to be a system administrator, 20 years ago or something, right? So like, oh yeah, I know how to do partitioning and I know file systems or whatever. But this is I don't know. I mean, it's like, dude, if like, assuming this guy's like 17 or 18 and just picked up computers and really wants it in, like, I can't be mad at this, but it's okay, maybe not 17 or 18.
19 or 20, but
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I can't be mad at it, but it's also like not remarkable. And if you want to stand out, the best thing you can do is just build stuff.
Yeah.
And building stuff is not actually that hard. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
And even if it's a shitty little bash script, you can say a lot of the same things you want to say here, but there's something so much more substantial about having a deliverable tied behind it, and it makes it so much more professional. And you really need all the help you can get, here. Let's take a look at that GitHub actually,
Let's take a look.
and let's also take a look at that blog.
So we got relearning how I use GitHub projects for my first serious public projects. Okay. This blog post seems pretty alright. I'm not going to be able to read every line of it, but start by explaining the problem, talking about it, explaining what you found out, and then giving a conclusion. Not a bad blog post.
Can you
Yeah.
can you host or NS look up this domain? Is he hosting this himself?
Yeah, we'll take a look.
Or maybe look at the headers. Is this like WordPress, or is this,
Which one is it?
really curious.
Right, let's see. Network. These are coming from. Let's reload. This is from. Let's see. Let's check the inspector.
Just filter by HTML in the network request tab.
Network, HTML.
Vercel. Next.js. Okay, so theoretically, this is maybe some code that he wrote, or at least maybe a blog engine that he forked and set up. Honestly, this is even something worth talking about, right? That you built this, so
yeah, that would be something. You deployed it, even if you didn't build it.
Yeah,
Something.
that shows deployed to Vercel is better than, hey, I know how to make
Hash node.
a home directory
It's
hash node.
hash node.
Shit.
Well,
Try again.
yeah, so much for
You
that.
could dude, you can find an excuse to deploy your own blog, and then it becomes a line item. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's hop over to the old GitHub. Neuro Study Hat. Currently learning ethical hacking, web development, 3D animation with Blender, and game development. Let's check these repositories. Got NixOS config, move files, and Nero Study Hat's config files. Okay. File transfer.py.
Well, there is Python in that repo.
There is Python in that repo. NixOS config updated 6 hours ago. I don't know how to read NixOS stuff. This is all very confusing to me.
Well, I mean, he's another thing that you could definitely say is clearly you know how to use Git, at least to some extent, right?
Yeah, definitely you can put that in there.
So I would be talking about that for sure.
Yeah.
And you probably, yeah, it seems like you have a pretty, I don't really know Nix as well, but I mean, it seems like you maybe have a grip on Nix. So, anything you can do to talk about custom NixOS stuff that you did would be cool.
Clearly understands GitHub kind of flow for things, issues,
Yeah.
So that's something.
Yeah, there's a lot of padding that you can do here that you can kind of turn, into real projects on your resume. You don't have to reach this hard. Everything that you're saying is really good. I really like the honesty and the lack of bullshit. Like this is honest to God, dude. Like this resume is way better than the last one we had in terms of like it's awful. I wouldn't hire this, but like the language here, the style is so much more transparent, right? And it's like it needs a lot of work, right? There's a lot of stuff that we I would hope to see in terms of instead of I use ArchBTW, hey, I wrote this bash script that uh, runs on a cron job or whatever. What are these bash scripts for command line work that you're writing? What are these automation scripts? But the way you're saying everything is super nice, and it shows that you're excited. So there's a line that you have to walk here where you're not don't lose this magic, but give us more substance, and I think you'll probably get a gig, especially if you're willing to work for peanuts.
And we will welcome you to come back on whenever. All right.
Yeah.
So
Oh, can we talk about like first jobs?
I would, but I told Jason B to hop in here.
Oh, all right, Jason B, hop in here.
Yeah. So thank you, Nero. That was his name, right? Yeah, Nero. Yeah, come into the Discord. We can give you a little guidance. Good time. Next up, we have a friend of the stream who was on here teaching me React, which I've used those skills. Everybody, welcome to the stream, Jason B. What's going on, Jason?
How's it going, guys?
Well, we are doing well. Just living life, feeling free, keeping it real, reviewing some resumes. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Looking forward to getting roasted tonight.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, roasting we shall. If roasting you desire, roasting you shall receive. Boy, you looking like a nerd. TypeScript, JavaScript, Java, C#, C++, Go, Python. What kind of a nerd are you? Wait, no, I know all those. Shit. Anyway.
I mean, I'm waiting for the roast, honestly.
Is this a Google template? This resume template, is this from Google Docs?
Yes, it is from Google Docs.
I feel like
Ignore the second page. I was just trying to quickly anonymize it, and I forgot to get rid of I forgot to delete the second page when I downloaded it.
No worries.
Well, I can't roast you, man. You have good taste in resume templates.
Yeah, this isn't bad. Of the templates that do multiple columns, this is one of the better ones. I don't mind this. let's get into it. I assume you have an objective statement up here,
Um,
or is this just empty
maybe
space?
not. It's just software developer.
Okay, so nothing that you've redacted out of this white area.
No.
Might consider squeezing an objective statement in there, saying, "Hey, I'm Jason B. I write code and do stuff, and I'm looking for XYZ types of jobs." Maybe you don't want to do that. It doesn't matter as much, but I would recommend it. So then let's get right into it. So you have some projects, a little experience, education, references, technology skills. All right, projects. Full stack speed reading trainer. Project Iris. I hear that the main developer on there is fine, but there was a guy who came on and just developed a couple little things, and that guy was really cool. I don't know.
He really pushed it forward.
Yeah, I think so.
Was an inspiration to the main developer.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I've heard. Shout out to me. No, you can go back and watch those streams. I think it was, what did I title those? Senior software engineer gets training on React or something. I don't know. TypeScript, Next.js, React, Tailwind, CSS, Go, MySQL. Sold license to major university, built on AWS Lambda to ensure easy scaling and cost efficiency. Collaborated with the design team, product owners, and open source contributors. Hey, that's me. Created over a dozen unique exercises. Use cloud database to persist user information and exercise results. And does this link work? Oh, it works. All right. This is good stuff. I actually don't know what I would do to edit this. I think this looks good. Any thoughts, Geordi?
It's hot. Yeah, I would. The one thing I would change is cloud-based database. It feels. I know you're trying to be generic here and show like, it doesn't matter what technology I used. I kind of like that. I would also at least like a mention of it. I assume it probably is MySQL in some, like RDS or something, right? You're in Lambda, so is it MySQL on RDS or is it something else?
No, it's Planet Scale. So it's its own kind of unique flavor of MySQL, but it's a superset of MySQL.
Right.
Yeah, sort of on planet scale.
I'm torn.
I did the cloud-based database just so I could have the word cloud in there.
Right.
For like a non-technical recruiter.
That's not a bad move. I think you could squeeze in cloud somewhere else.
Other technologies, probably. I would say Amazon, because if you built it on Lambda,
yeah, AWS.
You can say AWS and cloud.
I mean, AWS, if I'm being 100% honest, was yes, it's Lambdas, but it's kind of built into Next.js when you create an API route in Next.js, it just automatically spins up a Lambda.
Buddy, they don't have to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this goes back to what we were saying before about programming languages, though, where it's like, how much bullshitting can you truly get away with on a resume?
I'm not lying.
No,
not
you.
The AWS console. Did you click
on
the word? Did you click on the? Wait, you said no.
No, you don't have to when you use Next.js.
Did you?
No.
Oh well, shit. Okay, then that takes away my. I was gonna say, did you log into the AWS console? Did you click on the button Lambda? And then that was gonna be the threshold. But if you don't meet that threshold, then
yeah,
well.
you're perfectly skirting the line in that case because
Yeah.
you built it on AWS Lambda. You have no idea how any of that shit's configured. But you don't mention that.
Yeah, fair
I am confident in my abilities to spend an hour or two figuring it out and then being able to talk about it.
And click the word Lambda inside the AWS console, and then just move your eyes across the screen, and then we can move on from there.
I would mention Planet Scale though, because Planet Scale is super hip, and even if it's just a tech choice under this like subheading or whatever.
On other technologies.
Yeah, other technologies, or literally as part of the subheading for full stack speed reading trainer, where you're just saying MySQL / Planet Scale or something. That's potentially a keyword, but it also shows like, hey, I am a single developer and I don't want to manage my own infrastructure, and I was able to choose halfway decent cloud solution. So To me, that shows, you know, picking the right technology for the job.
There.
What else we got? Password manager. HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Go, K6. Securely generates unique passwords per website, preventing password reuse. Never stores password for increased security. Generated passwords take an estimated 1 trillion years to crack. That's a silly metric, and I don't know that I approve. Performance tested to verify REST API scales to 5,000 users per second. That's a good metric. I do approve.
There is a little bit of a story behind the 1 trillion. It's so I had a YouTuber, Cloudsy Dev, review this project on his stream.
Yes, Cloudsy Dev, friend of the stream, likes to send people here from time to time.
Mm-hmm. So I'm on his stream and on a video that he has listed. He tested the passwords that that my app generated, and that's where I got that metric from.
I wouldn't trust it.
That's a silly metric.
It was a silly metric, but it was kind of a.
I mean, are you using
cool story.
some off-the-shelf library like bcrypt or whatever the new fancy one is? I can't remember the name of.
It's basically just running it through a couple passes of off-the-shelf libraries. It's enough to make it more jumbled. Also, it's standard enough to where it's consistently generating the same thing over and over again. If that makes any sense.
Okay, so what this brings attention to, and don't feel like I'm trying to single you out or anything, but this brings attention to one of my biggest pet peeves. Password managers are bad apps to show your experience because there are so many weird things that only cryptography people know about and care about that you will not know about when you try to implement a password manager or any sort of crypto system, that you will get absolutely walloped on if somebody ever asks you about the project. And I hate to say
dude.
that.
The other thing too, I'm the dumbass here because for some reason I was thinking this was like a back end for auth, but it's literally just a password manager. So you have to invent some type of cryptography so this is reversible, right? You know,
well, no, it's not exactly a password manager. And the only reason I said password manager on there is so that someone who is just really taking a pass at this can have some frame of reference in their head as to what it is, because it's kind of a unique idea. Basically, it's a password generator that takes a single, very simple password that you just remember, and it's basically a password recycler. You have one password that you use for all of your sites, but it takes the website URL and your password, mushes them together, and then runs it through some cryptography stuff, and then produces a secure password. So as long as you run the Chrome extension on the same web page with the same password, it will spit out that same secure password, but it's never stored, so it doesn't have to be encrypted on a back end.
So one thing, say that it's a Chrome extension.
Just say that it's a Chrome extension?
Mention that you've written a Chrome extension. Because I was thinking this was a full-on web app. But a Chrome extension, I know we're talking. And second off, password managers are bad projects because they're really tough to get right. And even the biggest people fail at it. And there's a lot of like very nuanced cryptography stuff. Like your hashing, if you run it through 2 algorithms, that may not be as secure as running it through only one, or it may not be as secure as running it through only one. And if you can't defend that choice with some ridiculous math that only a bunch of nerds know, then you'll get problems. And there's just a lot of things. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, if you pass this off as just an experiment, like this was a learning exercise, and
Yes.
I would just try to change the language so slightly, so that this was a experimental password manager or something, or experimental deterministic password generator or something like that.
Yep.
So it's like based on
Bible product kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's like I wanted to see if I could build something that would generate predictable passwords. But this, given how little you've got here, you're okay to just write a fucking paragraph here. I think, and I would just say, this was the idea that I had. I think it's a cool idea. I wanted to see if I could do it. Here's what I did. I did it. I would remove the thing about 1,000,000,000,000 years to crack. I would also spell passwords correctly and never stores passwords.
Crap.
Yeah.
You didn't
But,
say detail oriented, so I'll give you the pass on it. That's one of my favorite things when somebody says detail oriented and then you scroll down and they have a misspelling and it's like, they're not. You would have been fine. You would have gotten away with it.
Yeah, but no, it's a really cool project, and I think you should allow yourself to be excited about the idea, and talk about. There's no shame in talking about the idea and showing that you wanted to try to solve it and that you did solve it, although maybe not correctly from a cryptography standpoint.
Yeah.
Because you got shit done, undeniably. You built a thing. Bravo. Most people don't build things.
Certainly.
So don't be ashamed, but maybe there's a certain person, that is going to see that and be like, oh yeah, this guy thinks he's like, a cryptographer or whatever, and is going to grill you endlessly about it, and that's not what you want to invite. Just be like, I'm not taking myself too seriously here, but I did build this thing. It's super cool, and it's an interesting idea that's very different from the way password managers currently work, which is they store they store a password, whereas this looks at the the URI and then is able to generate the same predictable password based on some seed, which is the the URL of the website, which is a cool idea, really cool idea. So yeah,
Okay.
you can do better here, and I think yeah. Anyway, I'll shut up.
All right. So let's see what else we
I
got.
do a better job explaining it if you follow the GitHub link, which
I'll take a gander.
Also, dude, your GitHub readmes are insane on both of your projects, where you have like that UML built into the readme. That's super interesting.
Mermaids is super easy to use, and it looks way cooler than it actually is to do.
Oh yeah.
So it's minimal effort for maximum wow factor, in my opinion.
Definitely, just throw the word is an experimental, and don't say secure, because people will make you prove that, and then you get into problems.
Yeah, fair.
What we got in Source? Got some CSS. You write the CSS yourself?
Yes.
Good work.
No, this is all hand rolled.
Hand rolled. Ooh.
I didn't even use React for this. This is all just straight JavaScript, and there's a Go backend as well.
Where's the code for this thing?
For the cryptography part of it?
No.
Yeah.
It's not in this repo. Notice how it says CE? This is just the Chrome extension. It goes to an outside API. So if you go back to the README.
Oh, shit. Fuck. There we go.
And go down to the bottom. Turn past API. It's the same README.
All right, let's check this main.go. Okay. All right. Go fiber. Curious. Okay. Fiber.new. Okay. Curious. Okay.
I see you're a fan of tabs and spaces.
This is an interesting way of doing this. Okay. All right.
Before I'd actually played with Go much, so this was very much follow the README.
Strange name for the port environment variable.
What's wrong with that?
Port.
What?
Yeah,
That's
usually
fine.
like API port. That's just me being
Whatever,
a dick.
dude.
I'm just being a dick. It's very, very common.
Nate being pedantic, who would think?
Oh, you do mention that it's written in Go, I guess. Yeah, so definitely mention that it's a Chrome extension. Also, I think you should mention that you used Fiber, because Fiber's a pretty trendy Go HTTP router slash framework.
Yeah. Anyway, Project Iris, Caryville, Texas. Application developer. Built a speed reading and trading application. You're trying to get double pay for the same work. Can't do that. Looks like you're trying to trick me.
Fair.
Collaborate with designers, stakeholders, and open source contributors. Manage GitHub pull requests and issues. Delivered at prototype at minimal cost. Yeah, so I would recommend you take these, put these in your experience, put that up top, and then combine this projects with your experience. And if you've only done one big project with one employer or whatever, you can make that take up 3/4 of the page. That's not a problem, especially as a junior. As you get more established in your career, naturally you want to cut it down and then eventually move on to multiple pages. But that's only after 6 or 7 years. Otherwise, yeah, this isn't bad. I mean, of course, put in if you could say that do you ever get this thing deployed in front of some users' hands, eyes, whatever?
That is going to be happening next semester, hopefully.
Okay, well that'll be good. You can talk about the impact it made and how, talk about the research a little bit. It'd be fun.
Yeah, my part of it is done at this point, but or almost. There's a design team that's going to put a few more points on looking through it and seeing if there's anything that I just didn't even think of.
Yeah. Otherwise, teaching assistant, tutored students in computer science topics, trained junior teaching assistants, supported professors in class and during office hours, created Python automations to support curriculum. I think this is perfectly fine.
I think you could probably expand upon whatever you did in Python a little bit, especially if you're trying to fill space, because you're gonna have to cut down that double use.
Well, no, I have another thing I can throw in projects for the double use.
Okay,
that'd be good.
I was talking with you earlier about this earlier today, Nate. The load tester I'm building in Go and a few other languages right now. I was going to throw that up there.
So when you put that project in there, make sure you let them know that that you received some, but not a lot, of assistance from the of course, the leader of the Nate stream, Nate himself. I think that's really going to help your chances. It's just like a
of course.
Saying, I know Nate.
Project Iris as well.
Yeah, same thing with Project Iris. You got to say, Nate worked on this, so consider it. I mean, it's like,
of course,
Linus Torvalds, and then a half step below, Nate.
Fair.
I should be murdered in the street for comparing myself to Linus Torvalds like that. All right, skills, programming languages.
It's Linus U. John Carmack.
Yeah. Hack John Carmack.
Oh God, I felt the earth shake at that blasphemy.
I'm going to jail for that comment. I hope you realize it. Was it worth it?
years in the electric chair.
Yeah. All right.
No, he just has to code COBOL for the rest of his life.
That's worse than jail. That's a fate worse than death. All right. Programming languages: TypeScript, JavaScript, Java, C#, C++, Go, Python. If you've been doing this for more than a couple years, throw in years after these. If you don't have any experience aside from the last 8 months, 10 months, a year, maybe it's not worth it. Other technologies: Git, GitHub, HTML, CSS, SQL, Vim, Linux. If you're going to put in Vim, you may as well just throw in Arch Linux because you're being a meme.
I really do like I use Vim BTW in there. The other thing you're actually missing out on is UML, which is diagramming, which is super fucking important. Depending on where you work, especially if you work in a place where you're being hired for Java, almost certainly they're going to hire for
I'm trying to avoid that, but fair enough.
I don't know. Your UML diagram is pretty hot, so
And I'm not trying to avoid UML. I'm trying to avoid Java.
Yeah.
I'm good at it.
UML's still helpful.
It is. No, I TA'd 2 different classes in it and taught a primer in college about it, but I don't want to do it professionally. I had enough Java. I
Well,
much prefer Go and Python and TypeScript over Java.
Yeah. Pretty correct opinion there.
but would you say you're the most experienced in Java?
Unfortunately.
Okay.
Damn, that'll do it.
That's, I mean, look, this is the resume stream and not the career advice stream, but like anything you can do to get any job, I wouldn't say try to avoid Java, especially if it's your strongest skill, right? And once you have a real job that you've worked for, a year, and you can say like, hey, I've, came out of school, I got this Java job, and I've also used that time to become very familiar with these technologies. I think it's easier to slide laterally into like a Go position, or Python or something. Whereas if you feel like you're kind of weak in Go or Python, and you interview for a Python position, and that doesn't, I don't know, right? It's going to be harder to talk about. It's going to be harder to talk about your strengths in Python or in Go if you're, you know, if a year of additional playtime with those languages would really set you apart, like it's probably it would make it a lot easier for you to get that job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, fair enough. The only one I wouldn't feel comfortable interviewing for right now is C++.
I'd take it
Close, closely followed by Python.
You'll figure out Python.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, you can probably bullshit your way through it, but like if you're solely being hired to be like a Django developer or something, I mean, uh, there's, I don't know, man. Like don't immediately strike out the thing that you're strongest at. Even if you hate it, like just do the job as a 9 to 5 and use that as an experience to, um, to really grow, build some really complicated shit and Go, and then you can just bust down somebody's door and be like, I am a Go developer.
Absolutely.
I know
That's
how
fair.
to use Go format on my code bases. Cough, cough.
Absolutely. Otherwise, let's see. Shriner University, some references. Good stuff. Any final opinions, thoughts, questions, concerns, ideas, interjections?
No?
All right. Jason, any final thoughts before I give a rating to your resume?
Do you think that I should? So, do you think that I should throw the that salvo load tester on there as well?
Sure.
And just swap that out for the second reference the
Yeah.
second reference to the full stack speed reading app.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense.
Okay. All right.
All right.
That's all.
Perfect. So my final rating will be, sadly, Hell 1. Because you doubled up. Actually, no, Hell 2. You doubled up, and yeah,
I misspelled something.
you misspelled. You didn't say. If you had misspelled and said detail oriented, ooh, that'd be bad.
Oh shit! The other thing is you probably should have some type of description, some tagline, not just Jason B software developer, but any kind of opener that describes what you're interested in and what kind of job you're looking for.
Oh,
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
yep. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for being a good sport. I will see you at a later date.
All right. Thank you, guys. See y'all later.
See it.
Bye.
Later.
All right, so
We got
there's
one
one
more.
more, but they didn't redact their stuff. So I'm going to have to just real quick switch to the stream starting screen, pull up this unredacted resume, and then go and redact it. Oh, this will be pretty fast. Redact. Okay. Get rid of all this stuff. And the formatting is weird. Get rid of the name. Get rid of the phone number. Get rid of the GitHub and the LinkedIn. Get rid of the university. And this will probably be fine. All right. Geordi, last one. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. So we have a person here in the Discord. They are known as someone, I'm sure. They are Shehap. I don't know. From a foreign land that I'm not familiar with the names of, and actually it was Cairo, Egypt, I think. Anyway, let's see. University, July 2021 through May 2025. So we have a a junior? Major computer science, data structures and algorithms, OOP, operating system, network compiler, languages and frameworks, C, C++, C#, Java, Python, HTML, CSS, relational DBs, MySQL, NoSQL, Spring frameworks, Git, GitHub, Docker. Okay. So I guess as a junior, a very junior person, I guess probably looking for, assuming internships. It makes sense to have your education at the top. Later, as your career progresses, you'll probably start removing your education or moving your education down or get rid of it entirely. But for now, this is going to be the major thing going for you. The skills, I like that you've separated C and C++. That's one of my pet peeves is when people say C/C++, because it's like, do you actually think of them as two separate languages? Because they are. Or do you think that knowing one of them automatically means you know the other? Because they are very different languages that happen to share some syntax. And generally compiler collection. Anyway, I would put on, if you have more than a year of experience in any of these, I'd just put a years of experience beyond after each one. C, 2 years, C++, 1 year, whatever. Any other thoughts on this top section, Geordi?
No, the keyword NoSQL kind of bothers me, but I understand why you have to say it. So yeah. No, not really.
All right. FOSOS, a tiny operating system in C. Develop virtual memory system to address RAM challenges, implemented algorithms for concurrent processes. I think this probably links to something. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. Let me say one thing about the skills section though. It's odd that you have more languages listed than you do, software or libraries, tooling. Because usually it's the other way around, right? If you've worked in any language for any amount of time, there are probably cool libraries that you've used to solve problems that you're excited to talk about. Things that are, that are going to be potentially a keyword that people are going to want to hire for, right? In Java, it seemed like you're talking about Spring Boot or whatever. But surely you've worked with other things. You've worked with, there's other libraries that you've worked with. In Python, it's not like you're just writing pure Python. You're doing things in it, right? And interacting with other people's Python libraries. Don't be afraid to list some of those. That section's pretty small, and anything you can do to pad that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So FOSOS, tiny operating system, developed virtual memory system to address RAM challenges, implemented algorithms for concurrent processes. A link to this would be nice. I don't know if it's linked. I'm screwed up with my PDF reader if it's not a link. Make sure there's a link to it. If this was a school project, probably mention that it was a school project. Maybe don't. It'll make it look better if it isn't, but I doubt that you've written an operating system that wasn't a school project. So I'm guessing that you intentionally left out that it was a school project. You following where I'm going with this, Geordi?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, whatever, man. However you want to represent this thing, if you can interview around it, go for it. But school project is, in a way, it helps legitimize this.
Yeah.
By the way, those links, there are actually links for this.
Okay.
This links to a GitHub.
How does it look? Good? I'm not going to go through it, but...
Yeah, no, it's a good, nice GitHub README, and there's a lot of code in here.
Okay, good stuff. So yeah, develop virtual memory systems, address RAM challenges, implement algorithms. I would try to, if it's a tiny operating system, focus on how tiny it is. Oh, I still have the redact tool on. That's what's going on. Anyway, if it's a tiny operating system, try to focus on how tiny it is. If it's got some neat features, focus on the neat features. That would be something important. Let's see what else. Tiny compiler in C#. Ensuring type correctness throughout the compilation phases. Implement a generation of a parse tree to visually represent the structure of typed code in the language. What is a compiler for? Is it a compiler for C#, written in C#? Is it a C compiler? Say what it compiles. And again, if there's anything unique or interesting about the project, say that. And possibly if it was a school project, mention that. Letterboxd X, Letterboxd clones, Java Spring. Implemented functionality and application to add movies, rate them, write reviews, like reviews from other users. Employed Spring security for secure login. Utilized JSP for the front-end interface. I like the description of the Letterbox X a little bit better than the others. It's a little bit more meaty on the important stuff.
Sorry, give me 2 seconds. I got to disappear for literally 2 seconds.
No worries. Let's see. Achieving first place and becoming champion of the 2023 ACM ASCIS Level 1 contest. Not sure what that is. Sounds impressive. I like it. Obtain a t-shirt as a prize for participating in the Meta Hacker Cup 2023. If all you did was participate, I don't know that I would mention it. I mean, it's fine. It's not really an achievement. Achieving the rank of specialist on Code Forces. Not exactly sure what Code Forces is. Let me look that up. Code Forces. Oh, I see. This is like one of these
competitive coding
things. So that's kind of fun. I don't know that it's an achievement. I don't know what specialist means, but I feel like these are more activities that you've taken place in and less achievements. Certainly first place is achievement, but getting a t-shirt and achieving a rank, I don't know how difficult it is to get that rank, but I think it's probably not really as much of an achievement as much as a programming-based hobby that can definitely have a space on your resume. But isn't exactly an achievement.
I'm going to counteract you. I think that's pedantic. Participating in a Hacker Cup is cool as hell. I've never done it. So I think it's worthwhile to list it. And, the biggest complaint that I have is like, sorry, I couldn't say this a second ago. I had somebody banging on my door. But in projects, it feels so thin. Like you've written so much code looking at these GitHub repos. Like the operating system, there's 70 some odd commits in, it's a ton of C code. There's a couple of Perl scripts and some Bash, and there's this giant README describing it, and then you reduce it down to 2 bullet points in the resume. I mean, I guess I understand what you're going for here, where you want to, you're obviously you're still in school, you've never had a real job, and you don't want to come right out of school with a 2-page resume. But I feel like you can say a little bit more than, hey, I made a virtual memory system.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, so there's not much more to this. If you're looking for internships, definitely clean up or add a little bit more stuff, more detail on all these projects. That'd be very helpful. Otherwise, the amount of time you've worked in these frameworks and languages would be helpful. You conflicting information on the achievements. Me and Geordi happen to disagree on that one. Otherwise, yeah, from what Geordi's saying about your GitHub, it sounds like you're off to a good start. So that's great to hear. And
shit, hang on, let me say this too. The other thing is there's a chance that somebody is going to print this out and they're not actually going to open this. So links are cool, but I would put the actual GitHub URL in that project header.
Oh, that is very helpful. Yeah, something I forget to mention. all the time. All right.
Because Nate almost glossed over that too. So
yeah. So yep. Thank you for submitting your resume. I hope you enjoy the review. I think that's all we have, right, Geordi?
yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's it.
Then thanks everyone for watching the stream. Thank you, Geordi, for coming on. Thank you to the loyal viewers out there for holding strong and hanging in there and continuing to watch. I got nothing else really. Geordi, any final words? Anything you want to plug?
Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper. Absolutely the nerd type of shit I would expect Geordi to say. What the fuck? Anyway. No, I'm playing. Yeah, thanks for coming, and I'll see you on Tuesday.